Hey baddies, it's your girl Bevy, and today we're gonna jump right in and talk about Beyonce's Cécred hair drops, okay? And I didn't mean to sound like a commercial, but like I just get tongue twisted and tied, so I just want to just jump right in. So I'm new. I was under a rock somewhere because I'm new to these drops. I only found out about them because I saw this video the other day on my timeline talking about how they're sold out everywhere. Ulta, you know, the website, Houston, Atlanta, Vegas. People were complaining about how they even thought that she was gonna sell these drops at, you know, Cowboy Carter. And I was like, dang, like what's in these drops? So immediately your girl had to pull a what the F? What's in the formula? What the F is in Beyonce's Cécred drops that people are like lining up to buy this like crack? To the point where the website says you can only get 2. She had to limit 2 per customer because people are literally buying 4 or 5, okay? People are going in under different emails and aliases, am I saying it right, to buy these drops. So now my first question was like, okay, Beyonce has the Midas touch. So is this just another situation where this is Beyonce's Midas touch? You know, your girl put her hands on something and it's just gonna do well because she's Beyonce. No hate, you know what I'm saying? Just it is what it is. She's blessed like that.
I don't know why I'm so fortunate and so blessed.
So is it just that, or, you know, is it because I realized, because it's all over TikTok, there's a whole bunch of influencers who are simply, I mean, the marketing is on point, right? They are giving before and after pictures. People are swearing by it. People are like, oh my gosh, they will give up their first kid, their organs, everything for a bottle of one of these. And I'm like, okay, well, we know the marketing is on point, okay, honey? We know that the marketing is tea. We know that the website is tea. Or let's go with the third option. Is it that it's really a good drop? Does it really work? Does it have all the ingredients? Does it do what it says that it's going to do based on the formulation? And that's why your girl is here. I need a, what's that thing? A binocular, you know what I'm saying? So that's why your girl is here. So I'm here to see if this is just all the hype, the marketing, the money that she has, the machine that she has behind her to make this pop, or is it that it really works? And then she has the machine on top of it to help her, right? So let's go into that. I'm sorry, that was a long intro, but I wanted you guys to know kind of like my thought process and let you know that at the end of the day on this channel, if you're new, my name is Bevy and I talk about the science of hair loss and hair growth. They're not the same. Stop using them interchangeably. And I talk about a whole bunch of others. I sprinkle in a couple of other things. You know what I'm saying? Anything that is biohacking, being a baddie, okay, at any age. That's what your girl does here. So with these what the F's, the first thing I'm going to do is go on the website, see what the website says, and then we're going to look at the ingredient profile and see if the ingredient profile is lining up with, you know what I'm saying, if the science is matching the promises, okay? So now the Restoring Hair Edge Drops on the website has 445 5-star reviews, is $56, which I think right now is a reasonable price for scientific hair care. For scientific hair drops that does what these claim to do, okay? So let's say, it says this powerful daily serum is tested to visibly improve hair density up to 1.5x, enhancing scalp health and follicle vitality, leaving hair looking fuller and healthier, limit 2 per bottle. Then the details go into get thick. Our daily Restoring Hair Edge Drops are tested to visibly improve hair density up to 1.5x. So she's already telling us that there is some type of study, whether it's a manufacturer study, a clinical study, I don't know yet. For thicker, fuller, healthier looking hair, these are all, and edges. So these are all the benefits. These are the promises that the product makes. Every drop delivers Biopeptide 5, a bioactive technology that uses 5 key peptides to support hair anchorage and help visibly increase hair density. Once I hear about peptides, polypeptides, and a hair care product, I already know it's gonna be good. I'll be honest with you, because peptides are the rave. Peptides are doing all the things that needs to be done in the girlie's hair. So now when she says she has a bioactive technology, that means that this technology is proprietary to Beyonce and Cécred. So you're not gonna find this specific technology in any other drop, but let's see what's inside of the technology, because there may be other drops that have them as well. So now when I see things like it's paired with patent pending bioactive keratin ferment, once you hear keratin, that's a strengthener, right? That's protein. The hair is made up of mostly keratin, so you're fortifying keratin with more keratin, so it's already going to strengthen your hair. Ferment, that is really good for really balancing out the pH of the scalp. So what she's doing is creating a homeostasis environment for hair growth, and it's free of all the bull crap like SLS, phthalates, parabens, which most products don't have all that stuff in it anyway. Sodium lauryl sulfates, for those of you who were wondering what SLS is, aka like detergent, right? Cleansers, harsh cleansers. Now, it tells you who it's for. Those experiencing thinner looking hair for any reason, including hormone changes, stress, styling, chemical processing, and high tension styles. Those looking to support a fuller looking hairline, those looking to maintain hair health. In other words, all hair types, textures, and can be used while wearing weaves, extensions. Listen, they threw out a wide net. This is for everybody. Your mama, your mama's mamas. Don't hide your kids. Don't hide your wife. Okay, this is for everybody. And then she has her signature fragrance in it. I'm not reading all of that. Just know that you're gonna smell like a $300 to $400 bottle of fragrance. For those of you who have already used the Cécred products, this is her signature fragrance that's across the entire product line. So this also has that smell. Now, how to use is you're gonna fill the dropper. I don't know, it doesn't tell me how much the dropper is, if it's a 1 ml dropper or not, but you gotta fill the entire dropper, and then you're gonna add it to your edges, hairline, and scalp. You're gonna massage it with your fingertips. Do not rinse, repeat every single day for best results. And it can be used on dry or damp hair, okay? So now she has her main ingredients here, which is the bioactive keratin. I already explained that. Fermented rice powder. Again, rice powder is protein, so this is a strengthener. You have biotin, which, you know, it's a B complex. You don't really need it. You know how I feel about biotin, but this is not that video. And then the biopeptide 5, which that is what my spidey senses was like, okay, everything else here is meh, you know, it's a typical product. There's nothing here that really screams at me. But once I saw that biopeptide 5, I was like, okay, now this may be the active that's working. But we're gonna go on the magic school bus and we're gonna figure out how it works, why it works, and should you spend your coin on this? Should you go crazy like everybody else? Now, before I go into the ingredients, like I always do in my What the F's, so the key benefits here, it's going to visibly make your hair denser by 1.5x, okay? So almost 2x. Now, this is their study. 84% agree they saw edges and hairlines come back. 84 visibly improved their hair density. 84% improves scalp and hair health. It supports the hair growth cycle. It leaves hair and hairline looking fuller and healthier. Visible strength, increases appearance, fast absorbing, non-greasy formula, optimal results. Doesn't have any sodium lauryl sulfates. Dermatologist tested, third-party consumer study. Now over 16 weeks. So 16 weeks is a good study. That's a pretty decent study. Now the only problem I have that I did not see is 84% of what? Now 84% of how many subjects? It could be 1 subject, 2 subjects, 3 subjects, 100 subjects. I don't see how many subjects here. Now please, if anybody found that information, let me know. I don't want to spend too much time looking for that. But yeah, it says, you know, 84%, but it doesn't tell me of how many subjects. And then it says of 16 weeks. That's my only issue. And then the other issue with this study, it doesn't tell me if it's an in vivo or in vitro study. In vivo study means it's a study where people are still living their regular lives, right? In vivo. That means that they could be taking supplements. They could be using 3 other serums at the same time with the Beyoncé serum. And that's why they got these results. In vitro means that they've been stripped of everything else and they could only use Beyonce's Cécred drops for those 16 weeks. It doesn't tell me that here. Now, again, this is just me looking at the website. I don't know if there's a white paper somewhere. I don't know if there's something somewhere else, but you know, the average consumer is not gonna question it. Your girl is not her. You know what I'm saying? This is what I do for a living. I understand drug pharmacology, formulations, and I read these studies. So I'm looking to see how many subjects, how many people, participants were in the study, and if it's in vivo or in vitro. What we want is for it to be an in vitro study because that way I can know they removed all other factors that could contribute to this being, to their hair coming out the way that it's coming out, and they're only using the Cécred drops. But a lot of manufacturers are not gonna drop money on that because they don't have to. So let's move on. Now, this is the part that we all been waiting for, including myself, which is let's look at the other ingredients. Now, I like to break it down now into 2 sections. We're gonna first talk about the inactives, which is really just the ingredients like preservatives or solutions that work on the cosmetic elegance of the product, how it's gonna feel. So like if you have something, for example, like if it starts off with like water or aqua, you know that that's a solvent, and that's just gonna mean that it's a water-based product, right? So it's not heavy, it's not gonna weigh down your hair, and that contributes to the promise that they made that it's for all hair textures because it's gonna absorb quickly. So you have things like that. You have propanediol is a humectant. A humectant is in most cases a moisturizer that also draws moisture from from the atmosphere. My favorite humectant of all time, for the baddies in the back who's constantly in my class, is hyaluronic acid. Is one of the biggest humectants. It holds the most amount of moisture, and I'm telling you, for my curly girls that love their big curly frills, especially if you live in humid environments, hyaluronic acid, just drop that little tip there for you. So it has propanediol in it. This is also going to help deliver the active ingredients, which we're going to go into in a minute. It has butylene glycol, another skin conditioner and solvent, and it has glycerin, another humectant. So automatically just reading these, I'm like, okay, this is a very moisturizing formula, a very moisturizing product. So not only are the drops helping you grow hair, but they're not drying out your hair, which is a really big problem with hair growth drops or hair loss drops. These drops will have, you know, products in them that are drying but not moisturizing. So it compromises your hair's natural texture. It has a couple of things, like it has the rice ferment, it has honey, which is another humectant, but also you have things in here that's gonna balance the microbiome of the scalp. And what that means is just, you know, it's gonna make sure that the scalp's pH and the scalp environment has the right amount of bacteria, good and bad, conducive for hair growth, right? Because if you have an overgrowth of bad bacteria, then you start getting things like dandruff, and you start getting things like seborrheic dermatitis, sebderm, that thick flakiness, that stuff that y'all think that scraping it off with a fork, a spoon, or a comb is gonna really help you, is not doing a darn thing. But that's another story for another day. It has biotin, which, you know, vitamin B complex is good for hair growth, but it's something that you don't need, because once you eat protein, you have all you need for the day. So biotin has superficial benefits, in my opinion, and I'm not a big fan of biotin because it is comedogenic and it can cause some issues as far as breakouts, but I doubt that she has enough in here to really do any of that, and it caused false negative reads when it comes to thyroid testing. But again, it's not that serious, and it's topical. You know, people are just gonna throw it in there because why not, right? You know, why not? Then it has the red clover flower extract, which, by the way, this is not an inactive per se, but this is not the main active ingredient here. So the red clover, this is a natural DHT blocker. The way this works is it's gonna suppress 5-alpha reductase, which basically converts testosterone into DHT. DHT, and I like to say this all the time, is the enemy of your hair follicle. It is going to suffocate the life out of your follicle. It is going to cause follicle miniaturization. What does that mean in English? What does that mean to you, Bevy? What does that mean to me? It means that it's going to make your hair thinner. DHT is going to thin your hair out over time. This is why you see things like male pattern baldness, female pattern baldness, and honestly, DHT has benefits for men specifically reproductive benefits that has nothing to do with hair. But the adverse reaction to that is it causes follicle miniaturization or even follicle death, right? For somebody who commented, there's no such thing as follicle death. Yes, there is. It's called fibrosis. Your follicle will die and it will never grow hair from it again. But you know, I digress. You have antioxidants in here, which are really good for fighting oxidative stress. Antioxidants are really good for combating things like premature hair graying, wrinkles, all that stuff, because there's these compounds that are released in your body called free radicals. I call them tiny demolition men that go around your body destroying all your good cells. It does not allow good cells to reproduce and replenish, all while leaving the bad cells there. They're haters. They're natural haters, these free radicals. And so it's good to have antioxidants in your formulation because it's going to combat oxidative stress, right? It also has flower extract, Melia leaf flower extract, which is an antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory. Excellent to have an anti-inflammatory in your product. Hair loss within itself is an inflammatory result or inflammatory response. So when you're combating inflammation, that's another pathway to hair growth, right? So a ton of whole bunch of stuff. It has minerals in here, trace minerals, which is good for, like, this one specifically has the Corallina officinalis, I think, extract. It's sea algae, and it's really, any type of minerals is food for the follicle, food for the hair. So that's really good as well. You have to feed the follicle. Is a living thing. It's a cell. You gotta feed it. And so it's a nutrient. So that's how the trace minerals work. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. If I go through every word, like dextran, which is a stabilizer, you know, which dextran, by the way, is very important because it's gonna help to stabilize the product, but it's also gonna deliver the peptides to the follicle. And we're gonna talk about those peptides because those are the star of this show. But if I talk to you about all of that, the potassium sorbate, the citric acid, and blah, 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 and the scent preservation, and the different preservatives in the bottle to make sure that it keeps it preserved, it increases the shelf life, or keeps bacteria out of the bottle, that's a lot of waste of time. But what we really wanna talk about is these biomimetic ingredients. So let's stop for a minute. What the hell does biomimetic ingredients mean? Okay, biomimetic, it mimics your body's natural biology. And that's very important because what this is tricking the brain to believe is that you have these different hormones or things in your body, and you, which by the way, most of us, they're compromised. The older you get, the more compromised, but lifestyle, environmental factors, chemicals, blah, 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 all destroy these things. You need your body to believe that it has this so that it can continue to create more. And then it's biohacking hair growth from a cellular level. Now, for those of you who are new, go watch on my biohacking series where I talk about biohacking hair growth in many different ways, but this is essentially what this is doing, right? So now this serum, basically what it's gonna do with these biomimetic ingredients, which I'm gonna talk about, which are the peptides, they're there to basically reboot dormant follicles. For those of you who know, when you reboot dormant follicles, you have follicles that are not dead, but they've been sleeping for a long time. They've been laying dormant. And what you wanna do is on a cellular level, you wanna go down to the stem cell and you wanna reactivate them. You wanna wake them back up again. So you can reactivate follicles that's been sleeping for almost 5 years, right? With the right ingredients, with the right products. This is gonna stimulate blood flow and oxygen delivery, which is good for taking nutrients like protein to the follicle, because our body is going to naturally, our organs and everything is gonna hog up all the nutrients. By the time it's time for anything to get to the follicle or the nails, there's nothing left, right? And that's intentional, right? Because it's true, your organs are kind of more vital than your hair, right? So you wanna boost blood flow. And I have a video on, you know, boosting blood flow via angiogenesis and vasodilation, which you guys should go watch. It's gonna reduce DHT buildup, which I said, the more DHT in your system, the more opportunity for your hair to get thinner, and it's gonna calm that inflammation, and it's gonna rebalance the scalp microbiome. It's gonna heal your scalp. So it's solid. So what it's mimicking is EGF, VEGF, and IGF-1. EGF is epidermal growth factor, and that's really good for regenerating the follicles, right? So you wanna revitalize the follicles. You wanna bring them back to life. You want to create follicle proliferation. You want more. You want, through angiogenesis and vasodilation, to just increase blood flow. And that's what the vascular endothelial growth factor, VEGF, is gonna come behind and do. So once you start to create a great environment, which is the EGF, that epidermal growth factor, once those growth factors are replenished into your body and then also tricking your body into making more, it's gonna create a healthy scalp. Then the second thing it's gonna do is, once your scalp is healthy, VEGF is gonna boost blood flow to the scalp and deliver the proper nutrients. And then insulin-like growth factor, which is IGF-1, is gonna keep your hair in the growth phase, which is the anagen phase, for much longer. If you are true to this tribe, you know that the key to hair growth is to activate the anagen phase of the growth cycle and to basically extend that phase for as long as possible. So very quickly, for the people who are new, anagen, catagen, telogen. Anagen is the growth phase, catagen is the resting, telogen is when you're shedding. All of this is natural except for when you're shedding excessively, which is called telogen effluvium, like postpartum, stress-related hair loss, anything of that nature. But anagen is where you want to be. You want to hurry up and get yourself out of catagen and telogen, which you can do. You can biohack your body to hurry up and get out of there, to get your hair to hair growth much quicker and to stay in hair growth, which is what your hormones naturally do when you're pregnant. And that's why all your hormones conspire for your hair to be, just to grow beautifully while you're pregnant. And you're like, oh my gosh, why do I have this hair? And then after you drop the baby, your hormones kind of reshift. They go back to where they were before, and then you start having this postpartum hair loss. That's what happened with telogen effluvium. So this is going to do these three things, and this is part of their biomimetic peptides: the She oligopeptide 2, the She polypeptide 9, the She polypeptide tetrapeptide 86 is going to imitate those signals and trigger regrowth, okay? So you have those. You have Capixul, which is called acetyl tetrapeptide 3, which has clinical data behind it to show that it's going to strengthen the follicle at the root. The red clover is part of that, which is the DHT, right? The DHT blocker, which I mentioned. Then you have peppermint, which is going to, peppermint for my girls, old school days, essential oils. We know that peppermint is going to boost blood flow and blood circulation. And there's a 2014 study that showed that it's outperformed minoxidil by minoxidil 5%, which for those of you who are like, but I thought it was rosemary. Rosemary, for the record, outperformed minoxidil 2%, but minoxidil 2% is not a therapeutic dose. It's the 5% that is a therapeutic dose, meaning 5% is when minoxidil starts working. Anything under that doesn't work. So if you see anything with 4% minoxidil, it doesn't work. It outperformed minoxidil 5% in 4 weeks. Keep in mind, I have to preface this by saying this was a mice study, not a human study. So there are some discrepancies and variations when it comes to comparing humans to mice. It doesn't always work like that, but it's still a decent study nonetheless. But take that with a grain of salt, because that doesn't mean it's gonna outperform minoxidil on humans. That's why minoxidil to date is still the only FDA approved ingredient for hair growth by way of blood circulation. And then it has the growth factors, which we talked about, all the growth factors, which is biomimetic growth factors that are going to mimic your own body's biology and doing these wonderful things. So all of this is part of that technology that she has. That technology, if you take everything out of it and you just sell the technology is the star of the show. But guess what? You can't, because it's exclusive to Beyonce and to the Cécred drops. And so listen, and then I call it the supportive squad really quickly. You know, the ferments, which is there. The ferments are good for, obviously, the microbiome of the scalp. This has probiotics in it, which is good for, you know, again, everything probiotic is about getting your pH balance, right? She has the ginger, neem. She has the rosa, which is anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial. She has the glycerin and the panthenol, which I said is a humectant. So you know this is a very moisturizing product, and the trace minerals for scalp nutrition. So baddies, the bottom line is this the golden Midas touch? Is this just Beyonce being able to, you know, spit a label on something and sell it to you and say, I'm Beyonce and this works? Yes, a part of that is that, but no, is this Bevy approved? Is this Hair Scripts approved? And the answer is absolutely yes. This is a phenomenal product. The beauty is that Beyonce has the money, she has the marketing, she has the team, she has the machine, she is the machine behind her to invest in research and development, to invest in, you know, the top chemists, to invest in the best formulas, the best ingredients, the best formulations to put out really great products. But that's why you're going to pay for it, right? Because these ingredients aren't cheap and she has to get her margins. That's just business 101. But y'all not here for that. So at the end of the day, is this a great product? Absolutely. This is a great product for people who have mild to mildly moderate hair loss, meaning this is not really for you if you have severe hair loss, if you have CCCA, if you have scarring alopecias. This is not for you. Don't be dismayed, because there are other options for you, prescription options, medicated options, but this is not it. This is mainly for people who just want thicker, fuller hair. This is mainly for people who have a little bit of thinning, some postpartum hair loss. It's all natural. It has natural ingredients, so it's not going to be, you know, a problem. Now, I'm not going to tell you this is safe for you if you're pregnant or nursing. Please stay away from every and anything if you're pregnant or nursing. Please just give yourself some time. But yes, this is Bevy approved. It's a really great product if you can get it. And I think that that's the biggest con of this product. Not even the price. The biggest con is if you can get it, because trust me, the buyers that already bought it are going to buy more, and it's going to be a constant fight. And honestly, I think she's going to keep it that way, because scarcity is a marketing technique that makes people want something more. The more you can't have it, the more you want it. That's how life works. When it's easily accessible, you don't want it. So anyway, your girl is no hater. I'm going to sit here and big up any serum brand that is doing the thing out here. Big up to like a black owned brand that is really out here caping for really good hair care, and I gotta give it to her, you know? So all that to say, should you buy it? If you can, absolutely give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, do not be dismayed. There are more powerful formulations out there that are for people with moderate to severe hair loss who really need more intervention with ingredients that are clinically proven to do these things even more potently, right? This This is on a basic generic level, but I'll tell you, you're not gonna find this. You can't get these ingredients on your own. You just can't. But the good news for other brands is these ingredients individually are available for purchase to create your own serum. It's just not, the technology that's put together is not. It is exclusive to Cécred. Anyway, baddies, that was a long video. I try to make it short. I lied. Subscribe to my channel if you want more tea like this. All that. Bye.